Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Please be comfortable. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. Yeah, thank you. So I really enjoyed the movie at the beginning, the 5-minute countdown video. Just the many smiling faces, right, of the community. And actually, that image very connected to what I want to share today. And also this video from Japan. So we hope all members can watch that. But at the same time, I'm wondering why, I'm watching this video again just before giving the message because, this second video, these young people are fighting for what you see in the countdown video. Yeah. I recently was there and I really wondered, I really hoped that we could hear such a strong voice from the youth. We didn't hear before because somehow we felt we had to be low or quiet or careful. But we should be very proud of what we're fighting for. Your sons and daughters of God fighting for the environment that you can see in that countdown video. The environment Dr. Kim's expressing now, want to really see in Las Vegas for everybody to experience. Don't you think so? So I actually just want to start with a question. What does the kingdom of heaven look like? What does the kingdom of heaven look like? So please discuss with your friend, pick somebody, and discuss for a couple of minutes what you think the kingdom of heaven really, actually looks like, feels like. Go ahead. Okay. Okay, please give your neighbor a round of applause for listening to beautiful vision. Did you hear nice words? Can you imagine a beautiful vision? And in many ways, we are experiencing this. At the same time, there's still a lot of work to do if we look at the world, right? So recently, Holy Mother Han, in a small meeting, she mentioned her dream. She said, I dream of the day when I can see families holding hands in joyful oneness with God, our Heavenly Parent. I dream of the day that I can see families together holding hands with their children in oneness with God, our Heavenly Parent. Is that a nice image? Yeah, let's give it up for Mother. I want to give a whole message just about that point another time. But I wanted to start with reminding us where we're going. And recently, Mother asked, I think, 7 years ago, it was the first time we heard Mother asking this question to our elders. Dr. Kim was also one of the elders. Mother asked, what does the kingdom of heaven look like? Even draw down, what do you think the kingdom of heaven looks like? Eventually, Mother revealed what the kingdom of heaven looks like physically. And she was describing what we call Changpyeong, really the HJ Chomwon area. This is now capstoned by Chonwongung and the Chonil Sanctum, the Chonwongung, this incredible temple of prayer, of peace, that Mother said should serve as a capital for a heavenly kingdom. And not just this beautiful building, but look, Mother built what? Restaurants, cafes, so many cafes, and beautiful Hanwon-jip tea house. Did anybody see the Hanwon-jip tea house? It's a beautiful Korean traditional building, just 2 stories, perched on the edge of the lake with a wonderful trail going up behind. You can take your shoes off. It's healthy, to walk on the ground without your shoes. So they thought of these things as a beautiful trail, and if you take the trail all the way to one end, there's a lookout place. Did you see? And a platform where you can rest, where you can meditate and pray, or play cards together with your friends. And another way goes to the Hyojang tree, the tree of filial piety. And along these trails, there's beautiful spots to rest, to be, to look at the view, to hold hands with your family. And the restaurants where you can eat with your family and friends, and the cafe where you can relax with tea or coffee. I recommend the ginseng latte if you haven't tried it. It's very delicious. And did anyone see Aqua Garden Cafe? And did you see the scene be, well, first of all, Aqua Garden Cafe is a cafe where you can eat and drink coffee. Another one. Don't worry, there's a beautiful prayer hall and training center in Changpyeong, but even there's more cafes than prayer halls there, actually. So Mother's is showing us all the things that she envisions should be there in an environment of heaven. The Aqua Garden Cafe is another example where you can go and drink coffee, but the space is designed as a sanctuary of nature. Fish tanks line every wall, nice clean ones, not like sometimes you see dirty ones outside the restaurant with the fishes. Maybe the water's clean, but the glass is dirty. They keep everything clean and new. 70 or 80 or 90 different species of fish there around every wall and down the center and in another room and off to the side, all different species, small and large. My favorite is the fish that smiles. It's always got a smile on its face. Mother's favorite fish is the redfish. I don't know what they're called, but she likes the redfish. I think she can see it well and it dances around. And Mother says, if you sit at the table with your family and drink tea together or coffee and just watch the fish, you will be healed. You will be healed. It's simple. Downstairs is a scene B. It's like a zoo. Did anybody see? A couple of you? So cute. It's much smaller than the Aqua Garden Cafe, but it takes a long time to go through because these little animals are so cute. You know, when you go to the big zoo, there's the big smelly animals. But this is the place for the little smelly animals, you know. And they're so cute. I'm not going to name them all. But the attendants there will give you food to feed them, or they'll do little shows with the animals. I was just there with my daughter and her husband, Mark, and they had I don't know what you call this kind of lizard or dragon, but it's like this big, this fat. And this attendant was holding it out of the cage. And I was like, oh, can my daughter hold that? Big gray tongue. And then, do you want to hold it, Hannah? She said, okay. And then so Hannah's holding this lizard like this. And she said, it's so hard. It's not like a baby because it doesn't have a butt. You realize God's design. Maybe lizards aren't supposed to be held like babies. But babies are supposed to be held like babies, and God gave them a poochy little butt that you can hold on to. Quite different. So these little animals, incredible. But here's the thing. I went there one Saturday, and I couldn't get in. There was cars parked all the way up the main road, if you're familiar with the area, the main road. And inside the parking lot was full, double parking everywhere. The attendants were going crazy trying to stop people from triple parking. And inside, they've had to build a new road going out from the Magnolia up to the main road. That road was just a side road. That was full. And all the way into the other building, the Silvertown. We call Silvertown? It's not the Silvertown over here. Silvertown. And you understand, vehicles everywhere. And then inside, there was not just a line, but one of these, like the airport, you know. It was packed. Packed. I couldn't recognize anyone, by the way. Actually, they weren't members of our church. They were from Seoul. All Korean, mostly from Seoul, maybe some from Chuncheon. I was asking a few people. Many of them with children, but interestingly, even many young couples without children yet. It's very much a children's kind of venue. But they were all going to see the Sinbi Zoo. Packed. When they come there, they look up the hill and they wonder, ooh, what's that temple? What's that building? You know, you understand. This is something that everyone will want to see at least once in their lifetime. And maybe many of us will make a habit of visiting once a year with our family. That's what I'm looking forward to. So everything's there. An aviary garden, a flower garden, a huge flower garden, not just a flower patch. I'm talking about, a conservatory for flowers and wildlife, bird life. There's a whole compound just for that. A stadium. A stadium. And the HJ Culture Center. Have you been inside? Have you seen all the rooms? It has the most advanced recording studio in Korea, for sure. It has all of the latest equipment, the most advanced recording studio. There is an art studio. There is a classical instrument teaching room, and a contemporary music teaching room, and a band practice room, and an art gallery, and a cafeteria, and 2 or 3 cafes, and a playground outside, and a venue, a gym that could be served as a multi-purpose room, and a theater with screen and sound and theater seating. This is just one of the many places that Mother built to give venue to all of us and to our youth to create new culture. And the training center and the hospital and the 5-star Azalea Village apartments. Have anyone stayed? Has anyone stayed? You can stay there. You can take your whole family there. You pay. You can offer some money. And there's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, living room, terrace, views of the Cheonwon-gung out the living room window. I mean, it's on and on. The boat, the HJ Marina, state of the art. On the marina itself, there's 3 or 4 floors with restaurants, cafes, waiting areas, lookout decks. On the top, they do, I'm going way too long in describing this. I was planning just 30 seconds, but I can't stop. On the top, they bring bands to play music, and people eat there and dance together. And then there's the boat itself, all electric, silent, gliding through the water. Another 3-story building on a boat with cafes, food, snacks, drinks, live music. Much more than what you might remember, those wonderful sleeping bags in the basement of the training center. There's much more there that Mother has built and still wants to build. I have to spend another hour just to describe the Cheonwon-gung. So, Mother dreams of seeing families with their children holding hands, sincerely, joyfully attending God in such an environment. And what do I see? I'm honestly, I'm really thinking about 2043. I'm really thinking about 2043, Dr. Kim. What's 2043? Hundred-year birthday, Mother's birthday. I don't know where I will be then. I may be at that point, I keep joking about it. By that point, Stephen, I may be the assistant pastor to the church in Guatemala somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where I will be. But given this opportunity to serve North America, I'm thinking about that day. And like, how many such families will there be? How many beautiful, blessed families, joyful families, parents with their children, couples, healthy, happy, public-minded families that are both experiencing the joy of dealing with life together with God instead of without God, and multiplying the environment for more to follow. How many will there be on that day? I'm really thinking about that point. And I'm thinking about, therefore, 2027 as just a 2-year time frame between now and 2043. What will we do really in North America? As I left Korea, Dr. Kim, I felt it's time that we keep our promise to True Father. I see a movement across America with 30,000 members. 30,000 members, blessed families, blessed children. That's what I see. And I see communities, each of our communities, as extensions of the HJ Chomwon. I like to call it the Chomwon village, just my term. Think of it as a village, the heavenly village, the capital heavenly village. And every community around the world, every community in America, shouldn't it be the best version of itself as an extension of that village? Ideally, if we were really, really getting it right, we would all have an aviary, a zoo, a culture center, a boat on the lake. Think of it. Many of us have some of those things. But Mother's seeing the potential of not just, she's not just creating it there so that we only think that's what we should do, is experience it there. Mother wants us to be inspired and to multiply the environment where thousands and millions of happy, blessed families will live naturally together. Do you like that vision? I see that. I see that. And I want to give a whole message about that, because I know many people will go home. Maybe it's an inspiring vision, but do you know the reality in my family today? Yes. It's not about our community being perfect. It's not about our family being perfect. It's about finding perfect joy in inviting God into the reality of where you are toward that perfection. No matter what circumstance you face with your spouse, with your children, with your parents, with your friends, there is a feeling accessible to you. There is an experience accessible to you that is experience of 100% joy in being present with that reality. Not feeling just frustrated or sorry that you're not there yet. Who's there yet? So I'll give another message about that. But I want to just plant that idea. Mother is actually calling on us to do this. Mother is calling on us to inherit the heart and dream that she has and to multiply it in your life, in your family, in our communities. Holy Mother Han is giving us that vision. Would you like to be a part of that vision? God needs you for that. Yeah. Mother has a calling. Mother has given us that vision. And so I really want to ask this point about calling. The message title today is The Calling. So what is your calling? Did you receive a call? Did you get a call? You got a call. Actually, I want you to discuss again right now with your friend. Please describe how you sometime, some of us have a near-death experience and meet God, and we have this life-changing minute, this moment that we feel called, and we dedicate our life to something. Some, it's gradual over time, like chapter markers in a book that seem to unfold over time, and you realize God is uniquely calling you. For some, it's both. It's both a gradual experience, but also there was one pivotal moment that you might remember if I ask you, what was the moment, Akira-san, that you felt God's calling. Because in that moment, there was a contract that you signed. And I want you to remember that moment right now and discuss with your buddy. Just take a couple minutes. I want you to express and listen to one another. What was the moment that first moment that comes to mind, or experiences that comes to mind when you hear me ask you, when was your calling? What experience? I'm not talking about what God asked you to do or something like what you think your mission is, but actually that you felt God calling you. Please reflect and then discuss with your buddy. Go ahead. Okay. Give your partner a hand. Please give your partner a hand. I think you want to share more over lunch. Yeah. Yeah, this point is so important. If we want to realize that vision, I believe the most important thing is between you and God. And that moment that you knew something, you signed a contract in that moment. Maybe it was a very deep and loving or tearful or exciting. But if we really want to achieve the goal, it's not so much about the circumstances that we pay attention to, as much as whether I am committed to that calling. Yes. So, did you all hear the funny story about Bob that didn't want to go to heaven? Pastor Joe asks his congregation, who wants to go to heaven? Who really wants to go to heaven? Everybody, go ahead, raise your hand. You want to go? Everybody, raise their hands. Yes. But Bob, back in the corner, he was sitting with his arms folded. Pastor Joe's wondering, like, wait, did he not hear me? I'm asking you again. Who wants to go to heaven? And everybody raised their hands, but Bob in the corner, he's still. So then he's figuring, oh, maybe Bob just like he wants to go to heaven. He's just kind of thinking no one sees him, so he's in the corner, it doesn't matter. So he asks one more time. Again, everyone raises their hand except Bob. To this time, Pastor Joe is like, Bob, I see you're not raising your hand. I'm asking, does everyone want to go to heaven? And everyone's raising their hand. But you're not raising your hand. Bob, don't you want to go to heaven? And Bob says, sure, I want to go to heaven. I just don't want to go to heaven with all these people. So my point is, there may be many really big challenges that you're very good at describing as to why maybe it's not possible to fulfill my calling because of so-and-so or such and such. That's not true. That's not true, is it? We can. It's between us and God, actually. Isn't it? That's beautiful. Isn't that more empowering? I'm not talking about everybody being a renegade, you know. We have to work together, but it's actually something between me and God. I remember when I think about this for me, there was a particular story that happened to me. Some of you know I was not raised religiously. My mother dedicated her life to religious work, so much so that it was more important than raising me. So I didn't have a mother. 20 years, I was from a baby to 23 years old, something like this. I never met. I didn't know my mom. But when I finally came to meet her, there was a bunch of things going on, and then I remember there's this one moment where she looked at me and said, with a smile and a motherly tone that I never really heard as a child, this tone. She said, God loves you. God loves you. And I cried. And in that moment, I remember in that moment feeling the presence of God. And undeniably, feeling the presence of God directly in my heart, in my being. And it was at that moment that I realized that that voice, that being had been with me all along. It was an awakening to something that had already, I could remember that place. I felt the hand of God. Something was it was a familiar feeling. It wasn't like, oh, what's that? It was something very familiar. It happened to be triggered by this moment that I needed to hear, perhaps, through her, that God loved me. But it was a confirmation of something that I had felt maybe since I was a child. And it was that. Yes, when I saw Father speaking for the first time, when I met true parents, when I studied the vision that they're unfolding on the planet, that's it. I've not heard anything more clear than this. But even underneath that inspiration, underneath whatever was going on in the community, honestly, I didn't join this community because there was great music, or there happened to be great food, or the building was wonderful, or because there was a wonderful fish tank garden, or whatever there was. There really wasn't much at all in the circumstances that I encountered the movement. But underneath it all was a contract between me and God. And so no matter whether leader so-and-so or community so-and-so or Providence so-and-so, whatever the waves of change may be, the winds of change may be over time, there was already something between me and God, and a promise between me and God doesn't depend on what others do or say. It was already determined between me and God that I would give anything I can give and do anything I can do to realize that dream. There's a story about Liberty Church in New York City. This is the story of one man and his wife that began on a park bench in New York City. And he proclaimed that we will build 10 churches in 10 years in this city and bring thousands to God. And he didn't have a team, didn't have resources, didn't have a facility, didn't have members, didn't have a building, didn't have, the workbook. He had a calling. He had a calling. His couple had a calling. And together they determined to do it. And now they've got 6 churches in New York City, 2 in London. He's already expanding in London. Thousands of people saved and found God. Why? Not because of the circumstances, because all he had was a park bench. Because of his calling, because of his contract with God and his determination to realize it. And he did not go out just to find members of a church. He went out to multiply that calling, to help others catch on and hold on to that calling and that contract between each individual, each family, and God directly. That's where the power is. So we're getting ready for a big leadership meeting with all of our church leaders here in Las Vegas in a few days. And I wanted to reflect with each of the main communities across the country before we gather together to talk about big visions and goals for 2027. Let's just take a minute to look at, how are we doing in your community today? Part of the meeting was just looking at quantitative things, like how things going, how is the organizational functionality and the membership, you know, how many members, how many families, how many kids, right? But 80% of the meeting is really me asking them questions which are qualitative. Qualitative question. My favorite question is the one at the bottom, which is, imagine 2 years from now, your community 10 times this size. What does your facility, what does your environment look like? And it's so fun to watch them dream, because I'm literally asking them to really build that. We can build that, just like we just built in your own minds here when we discussed it here today. We can do those things. Others do it, we can do it, we will do it. But the most interesting question I found was when I asked about the new members. Because our community grew almost, I think, 1,200 members in 10 months across the country. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about going forward to 30,000. But the question that interested me, Mrs. Kim, was when I asked the pastors this question. Tell me, how needed do your new members feel? How needed do they feel? And of course, Gerard, the first thing pastors will know to think about is, oh, I understand what you mean. You mean, are we getting them to join the care team, or are we getting them to hold the lamp? You know, I remember when we were in the theater, we had 2 guys that just had to come in just to hold the spotlight because we're doing church in a dark theater. And actually, we gave that job to 2 new members, and they loved it. They felt great responsibility to show up not on time, early, because they had a contribution. So everybody's needed in that sense. Everybody has something to contribute. But what I was asking them, Gerard, was how needed do they feel? Because we might get excited about, oh, we're going to have an event, we're going to invite our friends, we're going to invite them to be a part and build this community together. But what part of the building it together do they feel called and invited to participate in? I'm asking each of the pastors across the country, how needed do they feel? In fact, how needed do your members feel right now? How needed do you feel? There's something that we as organizers and leaders should pay attention to. And it's this, it's the same thing that this brother on a park bench in New York City, he knew. He didn't rely on the systems or a care team or this. He may have built all of that up. But starting from scratch, you know that you are not going to do it without God. All of the impossible things you don't even know how to do yet. I just watched a short video with Tom Cruise. I think he was in the Cannes Film Festival or some film premiere of his last Mission Impossible movie. Final Reckoning, I think it's called. And it's just been screened. And he was interviewed. Tom Cruise. Everybody know Tom Cruise? And the journalist is asking, so Tom, you know, how do you, like, you do such amazing things, big, adventurous things, dangerous things. How is it that you know how to do those things? Like, how do you do those things? It's like, how do you know you can even do it? And he's like, I don't know. I start with a dream, I start with a purpose, and I just write all the things that I figure out I've got to do. I figure I must have to do this and this, and I figure it out. And even that list changes. I don't know how to do the things I do. I start by crawling, and then by walking, and then by jogging, and then running, and then sprinting off a building, and then sprinting out of a helicopter, and then jumping off a cliff, you know. But it started with crawling. I don't know how to do those things. And he said the thing that's holding many of us back is fear. But what is that fear? Fear of something that we don't know. That's where the fear is. And he said, all there is between you and your dream is a bunch of unknown. Unless your dream is not worth anything, because for your dream to be worth something, surely you will be changing something. Surely you yourself will be changed. And therefore, by default, if you're doing anything of great importance, change is a requirement. Therefore, unknown distances will be traveled. Unknown pathways will be walked. But it's not about understanding every step before you start. It's about just going. Tom Cruise was saying, where I find fear escaping me is in knowing. And where I find knowing is through doing. And where I find doing is just picking a target and going there. That's what we have to do. We have to remember our calling. All that brother had on the park bench with his wife was his unity as a couple and a dream and a calling from God that he was determined to realize. And probably in the same time that we've changed the name of our church 3 times, he's already built thousands of members through churches across the world. Isn't that incredible? If it's possible for him, is it not possible for everyone in this room? You are called, brothers and sisters. You are loved and called by God. Not because I say so, right? Isn't that so? Not because of any position. Those things are temporary, right? And not necessarily even because the pastor had time to personally ask you, because of course we want to. But every member of the community, whether 90 years old or 9 years old, whether you've been around 50 years or 5 days, you are equally important, equally loved, equally needed by God to fulfill your calling. So going around the country and listening to the leaders, everyone's response was the same, like this. Actually, I don't know. So here's the point. Why are you here? Why are you here? I bet you if we write everyone's individual little moment down, it's not going to be the same. Some people say, oh, when I heard the principle, it got me. Well, what part of the principle? Oh, parallels. Well, what part of the parallels? Well, that part. And why that part? Oh, was it really that part? Or is it also something to do with what happened the night before you had a dream? Or some way the preacher was giving it to you? Something occurred for you that's absolutely unique. And it was crafted by God for you in that moment to awaken, and maybe a series of awakenings. Isn't that so? Do you think all of us are here because of the same catalyst? It's different. And yet, as leaders, when I'm thinking about how do we grow our communities, naturally you start to think about, well, how do we create the environment? How do we create a pathway? How do we create care and support and education and all the things that are needed? There's so much that needs to be created. And the problem is that as leaders, we can get carried away thinking that it's about the building or the systems or the teams or the structure or the organization or the strategy or the goals that makes a difference. Those things are just there to support what is ultimately a calling. And without remembering that, we're not building anything. We have to remember that the people we're reaching, starting with each one of us in the room, we have to speak to that part of each heart that has got that contract written with God, the calling. That is the true engine of the kingdom building that we're doing. So I just want to remind you of that. That's all. All of us are needed. All of you are needed. And Mother is asking you to remember that calling, feel that calling, and multiply it in others. Now, it's not something we can say, Walter. It's not something you can say, oh, now you are step 5, you will now feel your calling. Oh, at 10:43, the Holy Spirit enters the room. That's not how it works, unfortunately. But I'm asking all of us, as members of this community, to remember for ourselves and to remember for one another and to think that way for the people that we're going to be greeting. I promise you there's thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people in North America today, maybe right now, praying to meet you, praying to find the answers that they're looking for, that they will hear through you, feel through your community, feel through that community video video that we watch. God will find them through you. Is that not part of your calling? And so we have to remember that part. It's not just about following the steps and following the leader. We have to remember that we made a promise to God, Tom. We made a promise to God. That's why I'm here. If I was only here because it was easy or comfortable or everything worked right, then maybe I wouldn't be here. I'm here because God loves me, God called me, God asked me, and that's why I will never give up. Some people may leave, some people may go, but they will come back because you can never throw away a contract with God. Are you? Mother is asking you to remember this, multiply this, be joyful about it, be confident in it. No matter where you think you are, no matter what the struggles you're facing, I know Mother's asking you to feel and remember and build on that moment where God reached into your heart, embraced you, and let you know, yes, you're my child. I love you. I'm proud of you. I know you have many things to learn. But trust me, believe in me, follow my dream, and it doesn't matter if you don't know anything. In fact, maybe it's better you don't know anything. Just believe in the dream, unite with true parents, and start going. And watch the incredible miracles unfold. Thank you, brothers and sisters.